This is a broader topic about the American dream and the cost of the American dream. And this is not a number for retirement. This is the amount that supposedly, according to Investopedia, and this is an article that's been floating around recently, and I've had a couple different people ask about it, so I wanted to cover it here, on how much you need to earn over the course of your career to pay for all the big stuff. The big chunk of it is retirement savings. So they're estimating you need, again, these are not my numbers. This was the Investopedia saying this is what you need. And I would agree with some of these numbers and I would disagree with some of them, but let's just, according to their lights, retirement is the biggest chunk and you need $1.6 million for that. Again, the $5 million is how much you should be earning in order to have the spending power to do all these things. Healthcare, they estimate $414,000.
This is per person?
This is for it's really should be for a household.
Okay.
But if you're single, it's per person.
Okay.
For the most part. I look at this, Krista, as a household.
Okay.
It's hard enough. Remember, what the statistic is that half of Americans have no retirement savings at all. The median retirement account right now sits at $134,000. Not even close to the 1.6.
Right.
Investopedia is saying. So they say you need 1.6 million in retirement savings. Healthcare is going to cost 414. Home ownership is 958K. Let's call that $1 million. Again, median single family home prices right now at about 415,000. And then they base that off the 30-year fixed mortgage rate, which at the time they did this, it was about 6.5. They're saying the cost of kids, to raise your kids, and then the cost to send the kids to college, they're putting that at $650K to raise the kids and $230 for college. So that's $875,000. So almost $900,000. Cars. Now, I don't know, maybe Clark will have a heart attack on this one. $900,000.
Wow.
Over the course of your lifetime. They're estimating 2 new cars every 10 years.
Oh, wow. Yeah. I mean, that probably
crazy.
is average. Yeah.
The vacation budget, again, this is for your lifetime, $180,000. Pets, $39,000. They're taking the average cost for 1 dog and 1 cat.
Oh my gosh.
And veterinary bills and food, etc. And then, a wedding. I guess they're assuming that only one of the kids get married.
Okay.
Or maybe you pay for one of the two, and they're saying $34,000. $38,000 for the wedding. You add it all up, that's $5 million. Which, by the way, is the first problem I have with this article. That's after taxes. So it means you have to earn about $7 million in gross pay in order to net down to
over your lifetime. Yeah. Wow.
I don't know if I would just say that I understand the car number. I understand home ownership, that number. Most people aren't just paying for the first house in cash. So you're going to pay some interest to have a mortgage. Healthcare, hard to argue with that one. And then 1.6 million in retirement savings. That to me that gets you into what I would consider the green zone of retirement savings. I've done a lot of research around this, and I think that is an appropriate number. The retirement green zone, in my opinion, starts at $1 million in investable liquid assets for retirement. So I'm not going to argue with the 1.6 million. Now, how do you have to what would you have to make in order to make this work? And I'm looking at, now I think a 30% tax rate may be a little high for some people, but if you're 25% federal and 5% state, so again, depends on where you live here, but that's the number I used. To net $5 million, you would need to make $7.14 million, which essentially is $160,000 a year in gross income. They're looking at this over your 45-year working life.
Wow.
Now, there are
Seems realistic.
It does seem realistic.
No,
45 years?
But making that much for 45 years.
You're right. That part is
that's
really
insane
hard
to me.
But here's I would think the good news, because let's get a dose of reality into this. And there's a big difference between saving your way to the American dream and then investing your way to the American dream. And if you do the numbers, because the biggest chunk of this is retirement savings. if you were to if you're just saving your way, and you're going to put away $1.6 million, assuming no rate of return, which that's probably artificially low as well, then you need to, by my math, you need to make you have to average 160K a year. But if you were to save every year and invest those dollars, in order to get to 1.6 million by the time you're done your 45 years, it's not nearly as much having to be socked away as you might think. By my math, you would have to earn about $480,000, which would net to about $338,000 over that period of time. And if that compounded at 6% over time, then where do you end up? Well, you end up you still end up with the 1.6 million, because the net 308, call it 340 grand, which would be $7,500 a year or $650 a month, growing at 6% a year, then you get to that number. You get to the $1.6 million in savings. And to me, that's the biggest cost of this whole equation. Now, if you do the math on that, you end up with having to earn about let's call it $120,000 a year. So saving your way to the American dream this is trying to put it into perspective for all of us. Like, what does it really mean over 45 years? You'd need to earn about 160K gross. If you invest your way to the American dream, that number drops all the way down to $120,000. So 6% for 45 years, $7,500 a month, or $7,500 a year, or $650 a month gets you to the 1.6 million.
Yep.
So I don't really, it's expensive.
It is.
It's a lot of earnings over a 45-year career. 7 million, depending on your tax rate, it could be 6 million if you're a lower tax rate, to net down to the 5 that they're saying in this study. And I don't think it's that far off, and it's a big mountain to climb.
Yeah, it is. And I think, of course, all of this, like you've always said, is affected by what is your lifestyle going to be in retirement. You know, are you going to pay for a $35,000 wedding? Maybe a lot of people wouldn't. I mean, there's so many. Do you need a new car every 10 years? So, you know, there's so much that we can do. And that's what, Clark talks about so much, is like figuring out how to live with. What would
you guys say about a $40,000 wedding? Crazy or normal?
He would think that's insane.
Insane. Think about this, though. The $1.6 million. And if you use the 4% plus rule, I'm just going to use 4.5% for easy math. That's $72,000 a year in income starting in retirement. You add another $40K in Social Security, or maybe a pension as well, you're at 112.
Yeah.
If you don't have a mortgage,
that's key.
A lot of people in America can live on that.
Yeah, and maybe when they're younger, a lot of people are paying down their mortgage, so their expenditures are much higher than they might think they're going to be in retirement if they get that paid off. One of your keys to a happy retirement, as you say, not having a mortgage, right?
That is wonderful. Oh, really? In the newest book that is still yet to be released, it is having your mortgage pay off within sight.
Okay.
So if you have 30 years left, that's bad for retirement happiness. If you are within a certain amount of years, so there's light at the end of the tunnel, that adds to retirement happiness.
Okay. I cannot wait. We'll hear more about that book, I'm sure. Yes. Any idea of when it's going to be released?
Hopefully sooner.
Okay.